We are meeting with We Go To today. They should be joining pretty shortly, so thank you for your patience. Hi, We Go To. How you doing? Hold on one second. Let me just go ahead. Let's see if I can join you to the chat. Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Beautiful. How you doing?
We're good. How are you?
Good, thank you very much. Thank you so much for joining. I know it's been a little bit hectic over the past couple of days.
To say the least. To say the least.
What have you guys been doing in regards to the movement? Have you guys been doing like any sort of like peaceful protesting and stuff like that?
So I haven't went out yet.
Okay.
Being completely honest, I am pretty sure I had Corona a couple of months ago.
No.
Yeah. So I've just been a little nervous to be around crowds, but I
Okay.
have been trying to figure out what is the way that I'm going to help in this. I absolutely want to do something. So whether it's donating, um, you know, figuring out ways that I can be helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say I haven't gone out yet either. I don't have corona. I haven't had corona, but I do not want to catch it. But honestly, most of what I've been doing to date has been like encouraging the white non-black people in my life to like get out here and support and do the work, and instead of just sending me texts that you care and you are supportive, but like let's get out here and do something. So but in the same vein, I need to figure out what exactly my place is in the movement and start getting out there.
It's really funny actually. I've been receiving some messages from some of my non-black colleagues who are just like showing so much support, you know, something that I didn't actually expect, but it's just like, hey, I hope you're doing okay. I know like it's a bit emotional right now for you. Just want to show that I'm here for you. So that's really encouraging that I've been hearing about that. In regards to us, what we're trying to do is we're trying to do one of these protests, like not in like so the whole thing, we're based in Miami right now, right?
Okay.
So yesterday, it kind of turned upside down. I don't know whoever kind of like tuned into that. But in fact, it wasn't the crowd. I guess it was from the fear of one of the police officers who just kind of threw tear gas into the crowd, and then everyone just started going violent. Before that, it was, kind of peaceful. Um, so we're trying to do that. We're trying to keep the peace. As soon as things turn upside down, it's kind of one of those things, all right, you gotta leave. But it is something that we're definitely trying to do because this is an important movement. Me and my partner were talking about it the other day. It's kind of like something that is probably going to be around for some time, unfortunately, because it's because of history, of course. But I'm glad you guys were able to join today. So I wanted to ask you guys a couple of questions. I've been following We Go To for some time, even when I was living in the UK as well. So now that I'm here, I'm like, man, I have to connect with We Go To.
Thank you for
So,
reaching out to us. We're so happy to be here today.
awesome, awesome. I'm so happy to have both of you together in one place as well. I appreciate that.
Down to Virginia from Baltimore. No traffic because no one's out because of corona. So
Okay, awesome. So this is obviously a question directed at both you and Randy, Alishia and Randy. Where did you guys and when did you guys meet? I've read a couple of your posts on some of your previous travels together prior to We Go To. But where did you guys meet and how did this idea for We Go To kind of like spring to mind?
Yeah, so we actually met in 2011, which is crazy. Um, so we met in a teach abroad program. It was through CIEE, which is the Council of International Educational Exchange.
Hmm.
And basically, we were in the Dominican Republic we were supposed to be there for a year.
Hmm.
And so before they actually sent us to our respective cities,
Hmm.
we had this orientation in the capital in Santo Domingo.
Hmm.
And during the orientation, they were giving us our roommates, who we would be staying with in the rooms. And Randy and I were the only Black participants, so of course they put us together. So we side-eyed it a little bit, but it ended up being one of the best decisions that was ever made. We instantly clicked. It was one of those friendships where we don't even know how it clicked. It was just
like we got in the room and just started talking.
The
for the rest of
synergy,
the day.
exactly,
Right.
exactly. We instantly connected, and I think our biggest bond was travel. Randy had traveled abroad during undergrad. I had traveled abroad during undergrad. We both had traveled abroad to Santo Domingo or to the Dominican Republic before. So we definitely had that shared passion, and then through that, we just started talking about what our experiences were like being abroad, and also the proximity of where we lived in the States. So Randy is from Pittsburgh, I'm from Cleveland, so it was easy for us to connect once we had got back from the Dominican Republic.
Nice.
But I think for us, so just a little bit about our company. So we are a platform that helps Black millennials travel better. And the better part has kind of changed throughout the trajectory of our company. So I think when we first started, and one of the reasons why we wanted to start We Go To was because there really wasn't a space for Black travelers. So think back to 2011. This is before the Black travel movement had really started. This is before there were a lot of Black travel brands. This was before a travel influencer was a thing. So you really didn't see a lot of Black travelers being showcased and just being on social media in general. So I think at the beginning, Randy and I just really wanted to create this space where you can see Black travelers, right? So we started our Instagram. We weren't really sure what our business was going to be at the beginning, but I think it probably changed when Randy went to Peace Corps. So after coming back from the Dominican Republic, Randy did a stint with the Peace Corps. And you can talk a little bit about your experience, but for her, she went to Kyrgyzstan, and there was no information on what Kyrgyzstan would be like for a Black woman. So during her experience and after, we just started talking about what it would be like to create this space and this community where Black travelers could come on our website, find information about different destinations, but then also leave tips and information for places that they had traveled to. So from the visibility space, it kind of turned into providing helpful information for Black travelers. And now we are in the phase where we have started curating more experiences, both domestic and international, for Black travelers. So that's kind of the space that we're in now, and that's what our better looks like and our mission. But as you know, all brands kind of go through that growing phase.
Yes.
So, yeah, we've definitely changed quite a bit, but at the core, it's always helping Black travelers travel better.
And just to piggyback on that, I think one of the things that I remember hearing from or talking with Alishia about when we first met was how our experiences being Black overseas seem to be different than our white counterparts.
Yeah.
And for me, like I remember she had gone to Spain and she told me about what it was like to feel like sexualized and like people assumed that she was a prostitute. And I hadn't experienced that. Then for me going to Kyrgyzstan, I stood out so vastly from everyone else. And like no one believed that I was American because they had never seen an American who looked like me. And even when I tried to talk to my like fellow volunteers or even like the staff that worked at the Peace Corps and country, people just like chalked it up to like, they're like, oh, you're just pretty. That's why people are staring at you. And I was like, I got you. I'm different. I'm like, I stand out. And like no one, I think I was like in Kyrgyzstan in the 20 years that they had been there, I think there were like 7 or 8 volunteers who had actually completed Black volunteers who had completed their full service.
Okay.
And so there was just like she said, there were no resources to prepare me for what it was going to be like once I got there. Like I just had no idea what to expect. And so that's, I think, like she said, that was kind of like the turning point to help us realize we need to be that source of information, like compile the information from our audience and who understand what it's like to be Black in a certain country, or what are the challenges, or just different experiences that are tailored to our unique perspective, to consolidate that and like share it back out to a larger audience.
And then at that time, there was nothing like that, right? So there was a TripAdvisor, and you could go on TripAdvisor and find information, but again, it was never going to be tailored to what our experience would be like in certain places abroad. So we really found that niche and found that it was something that was needed for the Black travel community.
Okay, awesome. So you guys do group trips as well, right?
We do.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about that. What are some of the experiences that you guys have had over the years? And then also, what are some of the places you've gone to, like your favorite places?
Yeah. So for group trips, we had our first one in Belize, and it was a yacht trip. I know. Literally, we still think back to this trip. Like, it was such an incredible trip. And to be honest, it was most of our friends that went. But we were literally on a private yacht. We had our own skipper. He was cooking lobster every day.
He like went out, got the lobster, brought it back, like grilled it up for us. Like,
yeah, it was such a dope experience. And then from there, I think the next year we went to Iceland. And this was kind of before Iceland was like, there was that wave where everyone was going and like Wild Air, which no longer exists.
Right, which is like another Iceland.
Exactly. It was kind of right at the cusp of that wave when everyone was going. So we went to Iceland and we had, I want to say 6 or 7 people that went. That was incredible. And then last year we did Ghana, which has by far been our best trip.
Blowing out of the water.
We took 16 women, and the vibe that we created with the group, I don't think we've ever bonded so quickly with women before in our lives. Like, we'll have our group chat, we talk probably weekly. Like, it was such an incredible trip, and we bonded instantly. Like, it was dope. So those have been the group trips that we've done. We had some group trips planned this year, but of course, Rona got in the way.
She got in the way of all of that.
So we were going to do Greece this year. We were going to do Super Duper Fly, which was band from the UK, actually.
Yeah, it's a hip hop and R&B, 90s hip hop and R&B. I think they do like weekly parties, but then this is, I think, the 5th year. This was supposed to be the 5th year that they were doing something in Santorini, and we were like, hey, turn up.
We were going to do that in June, and then we were going to go back to Ghana in December. So those were our plans for this year that were rudely interrupted. And then in terms of places that we've traveled, we've been all over. Randy, you've been to...
I was going to say, I like, my travel list isn't super extensive because I tend to go places and stay a little bit longer. I counted this morning, and I think I have like 18 countries expensive, which is like not the most by any means, but just a little bit.
But when you stay sometime, when you stay for a long period of time,
like it 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. I feel you. Like, I feel like those kind of experiences are that obviously they allow you to immerse yourself a little bit more. It's kind of like me as well. My country list isn't exactly extensive. I've been to about 26 countries, but about 5 of those I've been to more than once.
Yeah. Like, I've been to the DR like 3 or 4 times at this point, and like staying there for like
And for me, my mom actually worked for, it was Continental, but then it merged with United, and she's been there for 30 years. So, so I had all the benefits. Since I was a kid, because I'm 31, my mom started her job 2 years before I was born. So I started flying at the age of 3, and my mom thankfully exposed me to so many different countries at a young age. And so by the time I got to college, I knew I wanted to study abroad. Then after those experiences, travel was something that was like a necessity for me.
Nice. That is, those perks, girl.
Listen. And it's so unfortunate that because of everything going on with coronavirus, they're doing a lot of furloughs and they're laying off a lot of people at the airlines. So those benefits are going to go away almost immediately. I mean, that's like the first thing on the chopping block. So. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, all right, cool. So, for those who are just tuning in, this is Black Travel Summit. We're meeting with the founders of We Go To, Alishia and Randy. Say hi, the beautiful pronouns. Okay, so if you have any questions, guys, just feel free to just, go ahead and put them in the chat, and then we'll start to answer them a little bit more towards the end. We want to hear a little bit more from We Go To, obviously. So I've seen from some of your posts that you also kind of do some events as well. Tell us a bit about that.
We had our Black Travel pop-up brunch last year. That was, I think, March of last year. We did that in DC. That was honestly, like, again, one of those events that it turned into more than what we could have even expected. Like, the vibe and the people. And honestly, I think one of the things that we, and I don't even know, I can't even necessarily take credit for this, but we draw in a really great group of people. Like, the people who show up to our events are so, like, sweet and like want to engage, want to be involved, want to like be friendly and get to know you. And so that was one of the events that we did last year that like it turned out amazing. We went to an Afghan restaurant and hosted it there. Like the food was delicious, and the vibe and like the connections that we were able to establish there.
And we've also done passport drives. So we've partnered with Howard twice.
You're right.
And then we did a passport drive with Hampton. And so we created this kind of one-stop shop where students can come, and we actually had agents that would be able to process their passports. We were able to get a couple passports sponsored, which was really dope.
That's awesome.
Photographer there that was taking the passport photos. So literally they just showed up, filled out the application, got their photo taken, and it was like processed on the spot.
Wow.
So that was super dope. And one of the initiatives that we really had started to work on early on, we wanted to make sure that we were kind of eliminating those barriers into international travel. You know, and one of those barriers can sometimes be money. And in our community, we wanted to make sure that that wasn't a thing. You know, if you didn't have money to get a passport, come down to the student center and you'd be able to get everything processed.
And then I also say, like, study abroad was really pivotal to both of our travel experiences. And so she's a master's degree in international education, and so she like understood the statistics of how how few African Americans are traveling or studying abroad. And so that was one of the things that we wanted to contribute, because it like studying abroad changed my life. It changed the trajectory of my life. And so that was something that we wanted to make sure that students who look like us had a similar opportunity as well.
Awesome. Okay, so in regards to your group trips, the kind of people that come on, what are some of the kind of people like? Like, are they seasoned travelers? Are they new travelers? What kind of people do you have coming in on your trips?
I would say mostly seasoned. We definitely have a couple newbies, which is great. And I think the newbies that we've had are very curious and they're very open, which we really love because we do a lot of local experiences, right? So a lot of the trips that we plan, we're not doing a lot of the touristy things that most people would do. So having an open mind, having people that are willing to come on and experience something new for the first time is like ideal. That's our ideal like member, right? So that's usually some of the people that we get.
And I was gonna say, like the seasoned travelers, like they're dope because they know what they want to do. They have their own itinerary while still wanting to like create space for community and to bond. And so like we have our time where we're doing our welcome dinners, we're doing some excursions together, and then afterwards they're like, okay, I'll see y'all later. Like we going there.
We're gonna talk about this all the time. Our Ghana trip, we obviously saw the girls for all of the communal activities that we did, but we felt like lame because we would go on these like excursions.
You're like, Mom,
right? So during these excursions, we're hurting the group. Like we're doing our like group leader thing, right? And then we would come home and we would be exhausted, so we would be like, let's just take the night off. And the girls would be like, well, we about to see you later because we're going to the club and there's 5 different parties going on. And they would come back in the morning at like 4 or 5 in the morning and be like, so what's up? Like what we're doing.
At breakfast in the same clothes they had on the night before.
Exactly. Meanwhile, Randy and I had our moo-moos on and like our hair was wrapped up, so it was dope because we didn't have to hold anyone's hand. Everyone was open to again being in the group and
but also like venturing out on their own,
right?
It was a nice balance.
It was a nice balance.
Nice. So what do you feel like personally, from both of your perspectives, obviously, what do you feel makes We Go To different from other group trips?
So I think, and I mentioned this in the last explanation, but I think we really try to focus on local experiences. So I think a lot of our trips mirror the way that Randy and I travel. So outside of our travel groups, Randy is like my travel partner. So like we always pretty much travel.
I gotta go somewhere for her birthday
every year. My birthday is on Labor Day weekend, so like I force her to to go somewhere every year, and it always has to be international. I'm like, we're not doing anything domestic.
Yes.
So we have been traveling together for years, and I think our travel styles are very similar. We like to delve deep into local culture, and that's what a meaningful travel experience looks like for us. So that is mirrored in our trips. So again, there are certain places that you have to see certain things when you go. So we try to incorporate some of those things, but for the most part, we're doing a lot of local experiences. In Ghana, we did like a jollof making class. We did Afrobeats class.
Afrobeats dance class.
Dance class with Dance Guy Lloyd. Shout out to Dance Guy Lloyd. He was incredible.
Shaku.
Right. I hate you. Don't do that. So we had so many cool local experiences, and I think that is what our guests love, is that they are really experiencing like the culture. And of course, you can never, put everything into a 10-day trip. You can't do everything, but we really try to touch on the things that make trips meaningful for us. So I think that's one of the ways that we are different than other travel groups. I think also we try to keep our groups pretty intimate. So we usually take between 10 to 15 people, and I think that's like the perfect amount. Where, again, because we have to be moms, like on the trip, we don't want to herd 50 people. That's like not what we want to do. But I think with 10 to 15, like you get to know everyone personally. There's enough people where if they want to partner up and do something, like it's just like the perfect amount of people. So intimate, and then local experiences.
And I would say one of the things that, like, why I love having Alishia as a business partner is she loves an experience. Like, nothing can just be what it is. It has to be an experience. And so that extends into our trips, right? So like even we went to Tulum with a group of friends for her 30th birthday, and like we had this personal chef catered dinner with like lobster paella and all that stuff. Like it can't just be we going to dinner for Alicia's birthday. And so, but anyway, like at first I'll be like, and then I'm there and I'm like, damn, I'm glad we did this, like. Because it just becomes like this vibe and this energy. And so like I said, like Alishia said, we try to bring that into our trips. So as we're doing that, like we try to think through beginning to end, like walking through the process of what our guest is going to experience so that we can think of everything and try to create little surprises and little like vibes essentially throughout their experience. So those are some of the things that I think that we do particularly well.
And I also think like our style is kind of looks on a budget. So we try to incorporate those things, like Randy said, like the private chef.
Is she bougie?
Because I'm a little bougie. So like I like to incorporate those things into the trips, and I think people really appreciate that. So no knock to any other group, because I think there is space for all of us, and I think travel, like budget travel, is super important. I think backpacking, like all those things are very important in this space. And I think we just bring another element to travel groups.
Hey, Rumi. Okay, awesome. So some familiar people coming in, which is good. Now, is this something that I know you both kind of like have this affinity for travel, and then when you met in 2011, it kind of like sparked a little bit more. Is this kind of what you saw yourself doing? And does it relate in any way kind of like to your everyday kind of, 9 to 5 or like Monday to Friday?
Yeah. I think we both can say definitively no. Like we both never saw ourselves doing this. I didn't think I had what it took to be an entrepreneur, to be honest. I thought entrepreneurs were these people that already had this very grand idea of what they wanted to do, were very like intrinsically motivated, and very ambitious. And like I have started to learn these things throughout owning a business, but it wasn't something that I had. And it was not easy for me at all. So I never envisioned myself like owning a company or anything like that. I actually wanted to be a travel abroad director. And that's pretty much why I went to school and why I got my degree in international education. because study abroad, like we said, was so like monumental in your life. I really wanted to give that experience to other students. I really wanted to focus on study abroad and higher education. But then being with Randy and talking about and really talking through what our business would look like, I realized that I was doing that in just a different capacity. So it became easier to envision what it would look like. But I think if I did not have a partner, there's no way I would have started it on my own. I think I would have had the idea and I would have let it fall in the chopping block for sure.
That's something. But
No, I was just gonna say, like, it's pretty much the same for me. I remember when we first met in 2011, we had like talked about doing an idea, but for me, I went to business school for grad school, and not because I wanted to be a business owner. I wanted to work in the nonprofit world, but I was gonna use business skills to apply to nonprofit, and so. Like she said, before going to business school, I thought you had to be born with a special kind of like ability or whatever to be an entrepreneur. And for me in business school is when I started to realize that you didn't have to have all of that in business, and creating solutions to problems that people have is actually really fascinating and really valuable. And so when I was in grad school is when we actually like took the leap and were like, we need to do this for real.
I also think too, like we came from parents that were from a generation where you went to school and you got a job and you stuck with that job. As I mentioned earlier, my mom worked for Continental/United Airlines for 30 plus years. So she had no idea what an entrepreneur like lifestyle looked like. So I remember the first time I told my mom I was doing this, she was like, "Oh, that's cute. Like that's a cute little idea, you know. But where's your job? Like, where are you going to be working?" And that's still something that, and I think because I did not have people around me that were surrounding me that really were familiar with being an entrepreneur or had businesses of their own, they just didn't know what that looked like. So they didn't know how to support me in that way. So we really had each other at the beginning. Like we had the vision and we had to push through and like see it through.
Wow, it's very touching. It's very beautiful. It's a very beautiful story. But you guys make a valid point. I feel like entrepreneurship is something that many people feel like you need to be born with a certain kind of like certain set of skills in order to become an entrepreneur. And really and truly, like you both stated, it's sometimes what happens is you learn these skills as you go because it's always going to be trial and error. I myself am learning this, and I'm pretty sure we're just going to continue learning this. Exactly. For as much as time is changing as well, the present day with technology and the media and all of that stuff, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a ton of things that we're going to need to learn in the future as well. What are some tips, I guess, or some things that you would tell your past self or a budding entrepreneur if you could right now?
Trust yourself. Trust yourself. Stop second guessing yourself and just move forward. Progress over perfection. We are both, and this is like a blessing and a curse. We're both perfectionists. So on one hand, when we do something, it's going to be right, but it'll also take us 3 times as long as it needed to because it needs to be perfect. And it has hindered our progress. And one of the things we were talking about before we got on the live is no one has a blueprint to entrepreneurship, right? But so we had to figure it out as we were going. But as we were figuring it out, we kept being like, this can't be right. This can't be the answer. And like 5 years in, we look back, we were like, we were doing it right. We just never trusted ourselves. And so we were like, no, that's not gonna work, let's do something else. And we just kept pivoting instead of like realizing that we were onto something. We actually were figuring out kind of like the template to business, but just didn't believe in ourselves enough to push through that.
And to piggyback off that, I would say fail fast is like one of the best pieces of advice anyone has ever given me because it forces you to put whatever idea you have out there and just see if it's gonna work. It may take off and it may become $1 million business. It may fall flat, but you won't know until you do it. So whatever idea it is that you have, test it. And I think that's another thing too that we are learning is we come up with these great ideas, and we, because we're both perfectionists, we spend so much time trying to develop it before we even test it.
Right.
So put it out there, see if it's something that people even want first. If it is, develop it quickly. The first like iteration is probably gonna look like shit, and it's fine. Like, put it out there, get it done. You can change those small things as you go. So yeah, I would say believe in yourself, trust yourself, and fail fast.
And know that failure isn't, it's not an indictment on your character. It's not an indictment on who you are. Failure is part of the process. It's a part of the process. And as long as you take the lessons from that failure and apply it the next time, then it wasn't a failure.
Exactly. Well said, guys. So tell me or tell us a little bit about your COVID travel stories. I've been keeping tuned as well. Some of them are really good. How did you come up with the idea, and what was your thought process in regards to that?
Well, first of all, when I heard yours, I was like, oh my God, her accent is amazing.
Thank you.
But one of the things that I thought about when Corona happened was like realizing that when we're ready to travel again, we're going to be able to go anywhere in the world and ask people what their experience was like during Corona. Like, everyone's going to have a story, literally everywhere in the world. And I was just like, oh, wow, that's like so fascinating. And then I started thinking about the challenges that we were facing as travelers and as business owners in an industry that was hugely impacted by coronavirus. And as we started talking about it, we realized that there's got to be other people who are like going through similar experiences, going through similar challenges. And so we wanted to create a space for people to share what they're going through, and also give people the opportunity to like hear insights from other people who are figuring it out. So like, if you're a brand and you just like feel like a travel brand, you don't feel like you know what to do, you can maybe listen to one of our Corona travel stories and hear what other brands are doing and how they're navigating to help you as you like navigate and pivot during this like really, really difficult and strange time.
Yeah, and I think, you know, what we've learned throughout the trajectory of our business is, you know, collaboration trumps competition. So in this space, it's small. It feels like everyone has a travel company and everyone has a travel brand now, but it's still pretty small. And we can really like help each other, you know what I mean, in this space. We're all going through the same thing. We're all stuck. We all can't travel. You know, our businesses have all shifted and we all have to pivot. So if you can listen to someone else's story and like learn and hear what they're doing in this time, it can help you with your business. So I think that was like one of the biggest reasons why we wanted to start it.
So I'm going to put you guys on the spot here a bit. Don't hate me, please. If you could tell your own COVID travel story in 1 minute, what would it be?
I was supposed to do that and I haven't yet. So I'll take this, I guess. So I would say our Corona travel story is just like everyone else. It screwed up all of our plans. And initially we were like stuck. It was like, literally, what do you do? There were no answers. There was no direction. And what we realized after probably the first like 3 or 4 weeks is we have to lead the charge. Like, we have to just do what we think is best. And so the ways that we're doing that is through like connecting to our audience a little bit more, doubling down on what our mission is, and like using this time to innovate.
So this is our new normal for a while. And I think when, you know, coronavirus first came on the scene, I think no one, first of all, knew what it was going to be, but we didn't know how long it was going to last. And I thought that it was going to become our new normal. But from March until June, I mean, we see that this is something that's going to be around for a while, especially until there's a vaccine. So learning how to figure out what our business would look like in that space is what we've been using our time to do.
And I was gonna say, like, travel's gonna come back, right?
Yeah.
Like, this isn't, and so it's like, how do you weather this storm and keep yourself afloat and get ready for when people are gonna be ready to, like, literally take off?
Yeah.
I think some people
And
are ready.
also, we were talking about this earlier too, but like reading the room, because this is something that's very real to a lot of people. It's impacting everyone in a very real way. And so we wanted to be sensitive, and we wanted to make sure that the content that we were coming out with was still relevant, and it was helping people in this moment.
Yeah.
Not just providing travel inspiration, which is great. I think that's needed, but I think, again, this is something that everyone is facing right now, and people are looking to brands and influencers for assistance. And so we wanted to be a part of that.
I love that. So your next trip, I know it was supposed to be in June. Are you still thinking about kind of keeping, the trip to Ghana in December? I mean, I guess that's all dependent upon, how everything goes.
I think in March, if you would have asked us that question, we would have said yes. I think if we're answering this question now, probably not. And it's because we want to still be conscious of, like,
Yes.
everyone's coins, first of all. Like, it's not cheap. And again, there's still a pandemic going on. There's no vaccine. And so there are measures that we could put in place to make people feel more comfortable. But we want to make sure that travel is in a space where people truly feel comfortable to go on these trips. So I think we probably will suspend travel for the remainder of 2020, but we'll definitely be back for 2021.
And I was gonna say, that's one of the things is that I feel is there's a certain level of responsibility. Hear us?
Yes,
Hear
we can. Yes.
us? Okay, you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I was gonna say there's a certain level of responsibility there as a leader, right? Like if you are, if you're a company or a business or a brand, like you are essentially a leader.
Yeah.
And I think that, like Alishia said, it's still like we don't have a vaccine. There's still a pandemic outside that has the potential to take people's lives away. And so it's like balancing a dope trip in Ghana and the potential for like illness, right? So I just think there's a certain level of risk that I'm not sure we're willing to subject people to.
No,
and I know like we've talked about doing a trip for us. Because we have more control and we can make sure that we're doing everything.
Just responsible for ourselves.
Exactly. And honestly, like showing people what travel can look like. Post Corona, but I'm not sure yet. I feel comfortable subjecting people to that just yet.
And since you mentioned that, we are starting to focus on what domestic travel looks like, especially for the
road trip.
Exactly. So people feel more comfortable being in their own cars, not going to the airports, and traveling closer. So we actually just came out with an article. The link is in our bio. And it is about feeling like you're abroad, but traveling in the States. So we picked these destinations that feel abroad-ish. Still give you that feel, but again, you're not having to get on a plane. You can travel in the comfort of your own car and have that type of experience. And I haven't done a road trip in years, so we're talking about doing probably Montreal this year.
Oh, see, that's still fancy.
Bougie.
I know.
Bougie. Can't just be regular,
Come down to Miami. It's kind of paradisey.
She was like, that's basic. But right. I think if we, again, like, that kind of goes back into the way that Randy and I travel. If there were areas that weren't super touristy. We don't want to be on like South Beach Drive or whatever it is.
Yeah, no.
Exactly. So if there were other areas to explore that were like more cultural, we would be down.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Little Havana, Little Haiti. There's a ton. It's really cool.
Okay.
We haven't done Miami because
I haven't done Miami as an adult, honestly. I went when I was like 17 with my family, so I probably should go. I got a little bit of bougie in me too. So.
I'll be a tour guide.
Miami, but I'm not sure you
So in regards to the trip that you guys was thinking of going on together, right? Was it international or domestic?
So we talked about Mexico. We talked about Canada, so Montreal. And so if we were going to go somewhere, we also talked about the Caribbean. It wouldn't be very far.
Yes.
And ideally, if we do like Mexico or Canada, if like shit were to get real, we could hop in a car and like drive back home, you know?
And all those plans are still very tentative because the Canadian border, I know, isn't open yet. It's still closed.
Yeah.
It's opening like June 16th, something like
that.
that. And there are still very strict restrictions, even on traveling to the places where the borders are open. I know the Caribbean, some of the Caribbean islands were super strict. Like there was only a list of approved hotels that you can be at. There was only like a short list of restaurants that would like deliver food to you. Like it was very, very restricted. So we're still, I mean, all of that is still tentative, but I mean, if the Canadian border opens up, we're going to do Montreal. I've already decided for the both of us. That's what we're going to do.
I love it. I love it.
That's the link in our bio. There's at least 6 destinations in the U.S. Where it really gives you like an international feel. And we have from each major city how long it would take you to drive there, some of the COVID considerations and reopening. So check the link in our bio and you can download it for free.
Awesome. Now, I want to kind of end with this question. What is one principle that you both stand by? You can answer separately or together. In life, doesn't have to be travel related. I like to ask this question.
I've been thinking a lot about values lately. I wrote some down the other day. I obviously can't think of any right now, but I'm gonna say, so one of the things that like is really important to me is integrity. One of the ways that I live is I like to do what I say I'm going to do. That is very, very important to me, to do what I say that I'm going to do. Because without that, you don't have trust, right? And without trust, you can't build upon that. And so it's very important to me that people do what they say they're going to do, and that how they, like what they say and how they behave are in alignment. So integrity is something that is super duper, probably too important to me, because I probably like extend it to the nth degree. But integrity is definitely one of the principles that I like to live by.
And I mean, Randy talked about this earlier, but I think this is something, especially during this time, I've really been focused on is just trusting myself and understanding that God has given me certain visions that not everyone else will see.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter how many times I ask for people's opinions or what I think or feedback or anything like that. If they haven't been given that vision, they're not going to be able to see exactly what I can see. So really trusting myself and knowing that whatever God gave me, like it's for me to see through.
Yes. I love it. I love it. You guys are so classy.
Listen, ratchet as well. Savage. I forget the lyrics.
A little bit,
Wait, I'm actually curious. So what would be one of your principles?
Oh Lord, you just put me. I think one of my principles is to always maintain compassion. So one thing I love to do, and especially on my travels as well, gosh, you guys really put me on the spot. One thing I love to do is meeting new people, of course, whether it be people who are also travelers or those who are locals of the place. That is probably my most favorite thing to do. I found myself randomly, joining an Egyptian family in the middle of Eid, breaking bread. And it's just that remembrance that we're all just humans at the end of the day. And we're all trying to live and survive and do this thing called life. So one thing that I always try to do is to maintain compassion for my family, my sisters, my brothers, across the globe. And that's the thing that I want to continue doing as well. I love everyone. I'm a hippie. My brother calls me a tree hugger. So yeah, that's
This is why we connected. Like, it's the energy.
yeah, it's peace and love.
Right.
So if anybody has any questions, for we go to Alishia and Randy has given me the pleasure of meeting with me today. It was a pleasure to meet with you guys. Is there anything that you guys want to say or want to add, or is there anything you guys want to tell people about, your upcoming events and stuff like that?
I was also just going to say, so remember that there is our free guide in the link in our bio for 6 international destinations, but we also have a second free download right now that are some tips for travel brands to how to navigate Corona, how to keep your brand alive until we're able to travel again. So both of those, you can find the link in our bio, free to download. And we're just trying to, we're focusing on building community right now. We're focusing on collaboration, reaching out. We're stronger together, period. There's space for everybody. So we're trying to connect with other brands. We're so glad that you reached out to us. We were able to connect in this way. This is our first live.
And let me tell you how God works. Literally, we were talking about what connecting to our audience looks like during this time. And so Randy was like, listen, I know you hate doing interviews. I know you hate being on live and being on panels, but I think that we really need to be the face of our brand right now. I think we really need to show ourselves and really connect with our audience in a very meaningful way. And I think one of the ways to do that is IG Live.
Yes.
We have put that out there literally probably a day or so before you hit us up. So when you
and
hit
I
us,
was like,
I was like, you want to do an IG Live? Got you. I got the perfect brand, and you literally reached out, and I was like, damn it, I didn't mean this. I was like, I want to do the Instagram Live. I'm like, not right now. But when you reached out, it honestly was the perfect time to talk to Randy, and she was like, well, we got to do it. And so it was perfect. So thank you so much for reaching out. This has been incredible and really easy.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. You know what? I'm kind of like you, Alishia. I remember one of my friends was like, you know what, you need to start doing lives. And it's something that I had pondered, but then I was just like, nope.
Yep.
Let me just push that right to the back. Listen, I did my master's in archaeology, right? But my bachelor's is in TV production. And the reason I did TV production is because I like to be behind the camera, not in front of the camera. I'm like, no, I'll be back here. Now I'm forced.
And if you also notice, she's in all of our videos. Y'all don't ever see my face because I don't.
And I never have to ask for permission to do it because she never wants to do it anyway. So she's like, I don't care what you go on there. That is fine. I don't have to do it. So yeah. But we're both, and I think that's something that we also wanted to focus on as well during this time is really becoming the face of our brand. We talk about that all the time, and I think when we first came out, it was something we wanted to stay away from. We said we wanted to kind of be behind our brand and let our brand speak for itself. But I think people want to connect with someone. They want to know who is running this brand, who's running the social media, who am I commenting, who am I talking with, comments. And so I think it was really important for us to start stepping from behind our brand and really showing people who we are. We're 2 young women that started a brand, and we're just like everyone else that wants to create a community. Yeah.
That's beautiful. It makes it more personable as well because then you become more comfortable rather than it's just I'm just speaking to this automated machine or very generic answers. Now I know who I'm speaking to. I know who Alishia is and I know who Randy is.
Exactly.
I love that. Now I do have one last question because you did say something about one of your, I think your blog posts, your articles you said in the link in your bio is discussing kind of how to move forward as a brand and as an entrepreneur during this time. Do you think you could share one with us, like one tip?
So I would say one of the biggest tips is to innovate. Like, was it the mother or necessity? What is it? Mother they mentioned in necessity? No, I'm messing that all the way up. But whatever. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. I always mess up these phrases. You should know about me. But anyway, because literally every part of life is changing right now. Mm-hmm. And if I'm honest, I would say in the Black travel movement over the past like 3 or 4 years, it's been hard to distinguish yourself. It's been mm-hmm. hard for a brand to look different than any other brand. Mm-hmm. And I think as the world is changing and as travel is absolutely going to change, mm-hmm. it is a perfect opportunity for you to lead and to innovate and to step out as someone who is a thought leader in this new space. And so if you're a new brand or someone who maybe doesn't have as big of an audience, quite mm-hmm. this is the perfect time to think outside of the box. And instead of figuring mm-hmm. out how do we go back to what it like life used to be and travel used to be, yeah. figuring out how we can like travel is gonna look like moving forward. Be a part of the future of travel.
Yeah. And I think his name is Marty Wood.
Oh yeah, Marty. Yeah, I think something like that.
So he
I think it's at Marty Speaks. I think that's it.
Yeah. So something that he mentioned recently was taking this time to figure out who your audience is versus mm-hmm. your client, and how those two things are different, and how mm-hmm. your audience is your group that's going to cheer you on, that's excited for what you do. They may be like a post or two, but your client is someone who is invested in your company, invested in your brand. They are waiting for your solution to their problem. So I think during this time, we've really been trying to figure out like what our audience looks like and what our clients are. Who are we actually talking to, and how are we providing value for our clients?
Ladies, thank you very much. I couldn't have ended it better myself. You guys are amazing, very classy, very queen. I love it. I love it, guys. I love it. Thank you so much for joining.
Something soon. We'll talk about this like off the air, but
we
absolutely need to collaborate with something soon for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. If anybody else wants to find out a little bit more about We Go To, feel free to reach out to them at We Go To World. Reach out to them there, and you can find out about their future trips, about some of their articles and their blogs, and then even maybe contribute to their COVID travel stories, okay? All right, ladies, it was a pleasure. Again, this has been the Black Travel Summit, meeting with We Go To today. We've had a beautiful chat. If you have missed it, feel free to go onto my profile at some point this week. I'll post it. Apart from that, have a beautiful day, guys. And we'll speak soon.
We'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.